My presentation is on dyscalculia. What is dyscalculia? It is a type of learning disability that is mainly in the area of mathematics and is also referred to as mathematics learning disability. This learning disability causes difficulties such as identifying and processing numbers, remembering math facts, and figuring out equations. People with dyscalculia can also experience difficulties in counting, comparing numbers. So, for example, they can have difficulty grasping the concept of greater than or less than, and or not being able to tell the difference between a plus sign and a subtraction sign, counting money, or reading a clock. Now, these are just some examples, and there are more difficulties that could be experienced, but it can vary from person to person, and it can look different at various age points. This learning disability can also be emotionally draining, but I will talk about that later on in the presentation. So, a little bit of background information on the learning disability. Dyscalculia was coined in the 1940s by Dr. Kurtzman. He studied the neurological disorder and wrote a paper on it. It was later referred to as the Kurtzman syndrome. It was not until later on that a Czechoslovakian researcher named Ladislav Kosk further researched dyscalculia and studied it more in depth. He found that it was caused by impairments in certain areas of the brain, and he also found that dyscalculia can run in families through genetics. As I stated earlier, dyscalculia can cause people to struggle in many areas that involve using or reading numbers and or equations, which can cause problems in settings outside of the class. One of the examples I gave earlier was having trouble counting money and reading time, so this can be problematic when going out and trying to pay for certain items or paying certain bills, and trying to figure out the time in order to complete tasks on time or getting places on time. So people can experience problems in remembering directions, since sometimes they can have difficulty differentiating from right to left. And they can also have trouble remembering zip codes and traveling, so having problems with trying to tell how long it might take to get from point A to point B, or remembering phone numbers. It can also affect emotions, so having these type of difficulties can also cause people to have low self-esteem because they are not confident in interacting with others or trying new things that might involve numbers. And this can also cause anxiety. How can we help? So according to Understood for All, utilizing items such as blocks and number lines to help visualize how to solve problems, allowing extra time for students to take tests and complete assignments can help. Also using technology such as calculators and math apps can help. There are also other things that can be done in classrooms and homes that can help people with dyscalculia. In classroom settings, students can be offered quiet spaces so they can focus more, or tutoring and having access to formula sheets or step-by-step instructions on how to complete certain equations so they can see what the process is and better understand on how to complete the equations, and offering them sample problems so they can have more practice with the math equations. Some things that can be done in homes are playing math games, being understanding that it might take a little extra time to get certain assignments done, and don't pressure or rush the student to get these assignments done. And for younger kids, it can also help to point out math in everyday objects or events. So an example of this can be asking them how to count how many people in the room. And this is a picture of me and my niece Natalie. I decided to choose dyscalculia because Natalie has this type of learning disability, and getting a little bit into her experience with dyscalculia. When she was younger, she hated doing anything that had to do with numbers, and her parents would shrug it off because she was still young and they thought this was normal for her to do. At the time, her mom, my sister, then asked me to help tutor Natalie when she was in kindergarten because she couldn't seem to get Natalie to focus on what they were doing, and she hoped that I could help her with this. A lot of time when I was working with Natalie, She would constantly get frustrated and angry because she couldn't understand on what we were working on. At the time, what I would do to help her learn addition and subtraction was use dry pasta and have her work out the problem visually. But when I would say phrases such as take away or add X amount of pieces, it would take her some time to process what she would have to do to figure out the equation. I helped her with homework up until she was around second grade. When she was about to start second grade, she had to take a placement assessment, and this is when the school saw that Natalie was doing fine in other subjects but math. So they gave her an evaluation and they realized that she had dyscalculia. Before she was diagnosed with dyscalculia, her parents just thought it was that she was bad at math, and this caused a lot of stress for her parents because they didn't know how to get her to understand what they saw as easy math, and this just made it more frustrating for her and caused her to cry and do anything possible to avoid her doing her math homework because she hated working on those equations when she could understand what she was supposed to do, and she didn't have the help that she needed to get these for her to process it the way she needed to. But now she understands why she struggles, and she sets aside extra time to do her math homework, and she doesn't avoid it like she used to because she knows what she has to do now in order for her to get these equations correct and understand them. And these are my references.